Well, our first webinar back is also an amazing thing to hear. It is a new special offering that we have curated moving into 2026. The title of this special offering is called Future of Faith, and this is just one of many. So many of us are living in the most divided times we've known collectively between fascism, genocide, war, famine, environmental collapse, and uncertainty about our relationships and what each of us are called to be in such a time. We find ourselves deepening or even returning to our faith. This special offering will run again, like I said before, through 2026 and is curated to help us learn from thought leaders all across the world who are exploring these themes. And it is an invitation for all of us to come into a dreaming space where all of God's creation can be cared for, a space where we can know that collective dignity, love, kindness, and respect is honored, and how our different perspectives of faith can actually build up a better world. And I cannot think of two better people than our guest today. I have been so excited. I've been in conversation with these folks for about 7 months and really just excited for the opportunity to welcome Bhikkhu Vasu and Amina to the screen today. Thank you both for joining us. What a gift it is to have you all in this conversation, this interfaith conversation about what each of our faiths call us to do and be at this time. And so before we get into the deep heart of the questions, I want to ask both of you, how do you find your souls today?
Vasu, please, you can go first.
Thank you so much, Emina. Today I feel so grateful for this conversation. We are people from different religions today together, so I feel grateful.
Thank you, Vasu. I feel peaceful because finally I am home and I am spending this afternoon or almost evening with you. So I'm in peace and I'm really happy to be here.
I love that so much. You all are across the world, right? We have so many different time zones that are between us. And I know, Amina, you have been traveling extensively, and then Vasu is also always traveling extensively to help get the word of our faith expressions and the tools that we need to help live into what our sacred scriptures call us to be, our sacred texts call us to be. So thank you for finding time in your busy schedule to be with us. I'm curious if you could share with the audience a little bit about how you both came to doing interfaith work. What is your personal story that brought you to where you find yourself today?
Would you like me to start, Vasu?
Yes, please, thank you, Emina.
So thank you very much for the question. And I just want to introduce myself and say that I come from Bosnia and Herzegovina. And the fact that I come from this country is very important because this is the context of the place where I live somehow influenced me to become more invested into interfaith work. Bosnia and Herzegovina, for those of you who are not so familiar with it, is a very small country in Europe, in the Balkan Peninsula, but it's sort of a place where East meets West, where Christianity meets Islam. And it's a place where, for more than 500 years, Judaism, Orthodox Christianity, Catholic Church, and Islam coexisted together. And unfortunately, we are also a place which was heavily affected by a conflict. 30 years ago, we had war. And after the war ended, we started rebuilding the society. As somebody who grew up during the war as a child, who spent her childhood in the war, after everything ended and after we started rebuilding the society, I felt the need that I had to contribute to that when I became older and wiser, and when I come to the age that I can contribute. So my interfaith path actually started 10 years ago when, with my friends who are coming from different religions and different ethnic groups in Bosnia, we decided to make a group of young people, found an organization, and work for other young people in Bosnia to show them with our example that living together is possible. And since then, my interfaith journey just grew and grew, and it's not only in Bosnia now, it's all across the world. And that's how I met this amazing young man, Vasu Bandhu, and how we also started working together for various organizations, uh, bringing interfaith not just in our lives, but also in the lives of other people. So unfortunately, something really bad that happened in my country influenced me to be more invested in the work that I do today. But still, it's a work that I would never replace, and it's not a work; it's actually a calling. For me, it's something that it's a way of life, because I think interfaith, it's not a work; it's a way of life. You invest yourself and you live it not just professionally, but also privately. Thank you.
Thank you, Emina. This is beautiful because for me, when I was 18, I started collaborating with Interfaith. I was living in Central America and I met Religions for Peace in El Salvador. And this local council helped me to understand the importance of interfaith collaboration. So when I was 18, I was learning from the older generation and religious leaders about the importance of collaborating all diverse religions for a common good. In this specific case of Central America, during the Civil War, Religions for Peace and interfaith collaboration has been crucial to find the common good and the well-being of everybody. So I have 12 years working for Interfaith and 12 years collaborating with Religions for Peace. And now in our International Youth Committee of Religions for Peace, we are helping moving forward the interfaith collaboration for the well-being of everybody. So thank you, Emina and Reverend Ellie.
Yeah, wow. You know, I heard from both of you, and if I could do a follow-up to that, that geography mattered, right? Geography was, in a way, an invitation into finding a deeper connection to other living beings, living creatures, perhaps. I'm curious at does that geography still I hear it in your voice. That's who you are and where you're from. But I'm curious, does geography still play a vital role in your current work today?
Who's gonna go first? Go first, Basu, please.
Thank you, Mina. Yes, I think so because I'm from Mexico and I'm an immigrant in the United States. So for me has been very important my specific intersections on how I'm doing this work for interfaith. And interfaith is about diversity, so including these kind of intersections of our diversity, I think is a key for interfaith.
To me, it matters a lot because, as you said, you could hear it in my voice. It is who I am. It is where I come from. It is where I grew up, and hopefully I will stay because, unfortunately, a lot of people are leaving this beautiful country, and I do not blame them because the situation is not the best, but still, it's my home. It's
Mm.
something that I love above everything, and wherever I go, wherever I travel, and as you said, I travel a lot. I always, when I'm landing in Sarajevo, I always get this feeling that I am coming home,
Mm.
and to me, that's something that really matters. And it's not just about coming home, it's also about the people who live here. And it's also about the need and necessity to still work with the people, to still bring them together, to still create spaces for the younger generations that are coming. Those that did not see the war, did not go through the war, that did not see how the relationships were completely crashed between the people. So those young people who are who are still somehow feeling the grudge, but they don't know why they feel the grudge and why they are not able to, communicate with the people of different faith than theirs, because they did not break anything, but they are supposed to somehow fix it. So for me, it matters a lot because there's still a lot of work to do here where I come from, but unfortunately, there is still a lot of work to do in the world because we live in very, very challenging times with too many conflicts, too many horrible events, and too many things that are influencing people, especially children. So I think if we don't work now, it's a question. If not now, when? If not me, who?
Yes, amen, amen. Thank you both for delving a little bit deeper into that geography question. And yeah, I think I want to unpack that for like the next 2 hours. Like I know you probably need to go to bed, Amina, but also just hang out with us. I'm just kidding. We are not on this webinar for 2 hours, folks. Just relax. But I will say that maybe you can unpack that in this next question. You both have worked together now for a number of years. So I'm curious about what the work that your collective organizations have done and are doing in the face of such world change right now.
Russell, do you want?
Thank you so much. So the work that we are doing, specific with Religions for Peace, is connecting religious institutions and religious leaders on understanding the importance of building peace through multi-faith and multi-sectoral and multi-generational collaboration. So we focus, for example, on the environment, on the SDGs, and building those relationships. Religious institutions have a very impactful um, approach for the well-being of many people. But also in my local context in Arizona, I'm working for the Arizona Faith Network, which is also part of global networks. And here locally, we are focused also building peace and building bridges among diverse religions for the well-being specific on helping with the heat relief of people who are impacted by the heat, the extreme heat. We help them. So we can see that interfaith collaboration has great impact in people's lives. Here in Arizona, for example, actually saving the life of many people.
Thank you, Russell, for giving us this nice overview of the activities and everything that's happening. I would just like to underline also the thing for Religions for Peace is that it works globally and locally, so globally, if I can say it this way, because it's very important that you are not an organization somewhere, in one part of the world trying to work somewhere in another part of the world without rooting yourself in the local reality and working with the people who are locals and who understand the context. And that's, I would say, the beauty of Religions for Peace as it is, because you have IRCs or interreligious councils, which are local ones, or Religions for Peace on the local ground, on the local levels, and people who are recognizing the needs of the people in the inside community. So the work that's happening, for example, in Philippines and the work that is happening, for example, in Costa Rica, it's interfaith, but it's not the same because the needs of the people are different. The way how you connect the people is different. The way how you create a space for people to come together is different. And for example, one nice thing I would say from the work that's happening, it's multi-religious humanitarian fund, which help people in I think for now probably more than 50 countries around the world in helping to bring relief in the places, humanitarian aid as well in the places which is hugely necessary. And it's important that everything what Religions for Peace does works on the basis of interfaith. It's not just one religious community working for their own people. It's religious communities coming together, working for all the people. So the motto is that as Christian, people can work for other Christians. As Muslims, we can work for other Muslims. But if I, as a Muslim, come and work for the Christians, and you, as a Christian, come and work for me as a Muslim, it's more powerful. It's more impactful. It sends also a different message. It sends the message of solidarity, of standing together, and the message of that we recognize the humanity in each other. We see each other beyond the labels, beyond being a Muslim, being a Christian, being a Buddhist, or being anyone else, or being a person who's not at all any kind of who's not religious or who's not part of the religious community. I think this is very important part that we emphasize also the inter-worldview I would say dialogue, which is in my opinion very important. Maybe for religious communities this is something that we still have come to that, but for young people who are working within the movement, this is something that we recognize, this necessity to come together. So I think besides Religions for Peace, we can also mention that Vasu and I also work together with the United Religions Initiative, and that, my organization is a CC, and I think your organization is a CC, which is Cooperation Circle. And what URI was doing on the ground is also impressive because, it helped with the climate change in certain communities. It helped with with conflict management in certain communities. So all the interfaith work, what's common for it is interfaith, but what's happening on the ground is completely different. And it's rooted in the needs and the needs assessment of the people. So I think that's the beauty of this kind of interfaith work. I can speak about my own work here in Bosnia, but I don't want to take too much time. So maybe we can go on and then I can come back to that part as well.
Yeah, well, maybe my follow-up question to y'all will lead you into that, Amina, because I know that we definitely want to hear what's happening in other regions. But I hear from what you both shared is perhaps the culmination of an event or events that could help foster interreligious understanding is sadly disaster relief. So whether it be human caused disaster relief or beyond our human cause of disaster relief, it's the things that in the worst of times is when we collectively just come together somehow, and it's sad and also wonderful that we have the ability to come together when things are falling apart at the seams, perhaps in such a rapid and intense way. And so I wonder, what is, like, in your world of interreligious work, interfaith work, disaster relief versus that, like, let's get brainy for a second, let's talk about that theological side of things. When you're coming together, if there happen to be no disasters in the world that we need to tend to, how is it that we find ourselves coming together to be able to understand, appreciate, respect the dignity of one another, in the sense of an interreligious understanding, while also planning for how does that, like, not everybody will have the, let me just break this down. At a church that I work at, I love them to pieces. And I just sat and watched them prepare for a funeral the other day and watched all of the different people with their different opinions, where the flowers should be, where the cookies should be, how the coffee should be laid out, all of that stuff. And it all came together. It always does. But it was fun to watch people that had no interactions prior to this moment planning something and having it done beautifully. That's great. But in reality, when we're talking about our multi-faith understanding, it can be difficult to come together and see a commonality. So how is it that you have, in your experience, in your work, seen that larger theological conversations about who we are in the world, what we believe, and then how do we care for each other? Does that make sense?
Do you want to start, Vasu, or shall I?
Yes, please. Thank you, Amina.
That's a huge question, and it's a very good one. And I think it's a question that we are still figuring out how to, if we would have the answer to that question, I'm sure there would be much more peace in the world and there would be much more people coming together. But to me, this is a very personal thing where, and it says more about my relationship with my religion rather than my relationship with other people's religions. To me, it's about digging deeper inside I would say, the worldview that my religion offers. And I don't know if I said it before, but I just want to emphasize that I come from the Muslim background. So I'm a Muslim, so I'm a practicing Muslim. So for me, it's about digging deeper beyond, all the rules that are there, do's and don'ts that we have a lot in the religions. You should be doing this, you should not be doing that. All of that like dichotomy that happens is digging deeper and understanding like why I was created, why other people were created, and why God made us different. Did he make us different so that we would fight each other? Did he make us different so that we would kill each other? Did he make us different so that we would destroy the planet together? Because unfortunately, this is something that we are really good at doing together, destroying the resources, unfortunately. And then I ask myself, because there is one important particular concept in Islam, it's called being Khalifa, which means being somehow the steward that God somehow put on the earth. So I see myself as a steward. I see myself as somebody that God gave certain, I would say, we say amana in Islam, which means He gave us some kind of a task, let's say, to guard the planet and to guard the people around ourselves. So I think it's a question, do we see just that our religion is how I communicate with the God, or it's also how I communicate with the people around me? Also how I treat the environment around me. So for me, the religion is always like these three things. I cannot be so maybe I'm going to use now good Muslim, bad Muslim, but I cannot be a good Muslim only if I pray the whole day, if I just talk to the God all day, and then I'm a really bad person who's gonna come and insult you, Ellie. Or if I'm just gonna go and put the rubbish just somewhere in the environment. So I think this is a question that every one of us has to ask ourselves: why I am here, what am I supposed to do here, and is my religion teaching me that I hate others, or is my religion telling me that yes, you are different, but you can find a common language? So what I personally do, I read a lot scriptures, specifically mine, but also scriptures of other religions, because I am curious. So I would like to say that I think the curiosity should be more present in people's minds. Curiosity to understand first your own religion and then other religions. Because very often we don't understand our own religion and then we try to judge other religions without trying to understand what we are bringing to the table and then understanding what other people are bringing to the table. This is hard. This is tough process. It took me years to come to be who I am today because I was raised that my religion is the best. But now I think my religion is the best for me, but it doesn't mean it is the best for Rastu, it is the best for you. But this is a process and it can be a bit painful. I have to warn people. So you just have to go through it. But it doesn't mean you are not staying true to yourself. My Muslim identity, my Muslim female identity became much stronger when I started associating with people who are not Muslims. It became stronger and it became richer. And I did not lose myself. I just, became more aware of myself, who I am, and actually what is my religion. What does my religion mean to me at the end of the day? So it's encounter, it's curiosity, and it's being very aware of your own background, where you come from, and then understanding others. I don't know if I answered your question, but I try to speak from my own perspective how it worked for me.
Yes, yes, you answered my question. I've got all the goosebumps. I got all the feels. I got all the additional questions. So yes, thank you, Amina. Basu.
Thank you. Yes, I feel the same. I feel that working on interfaith, is helping me to understand better my own religion as a Buddhist and to find my own identity, to practice my own religious freedom. Before knowing interfaith, I think I was not very aware of my personal and individual religious freedom to find my own self and to find what is the best for me. So the same for me, my my path is Buddhism. But that doesn't mean that everybody around me needs to have the same path. And thanks to interfaith collaboration is how I am understanding the importance of finding my own self and respecting the religious freedom of everybody who is around me, including the members of my own community. To understand that everybody who is practice with me in Buddhism always have the same religious freedom to change their own mind or to go where they feel better, where they feel more comfortable. Sometimes some people feel afraid to participate in interfaith spaces because of their members could change their religion. But that's part of the Article 18 of the United Nations, the Declaration of Human Rights, that includes even to change your own religion, to find your own self and to be happy where you are. That happened to me. When I was 18, I was serving as a missionary of the LDS Church. And then with interfaith collaboration, I find my own self in Buddhism. My mother still practices in the LDS Church. And in that way, we are understanding the beauty of religious freedom in the personal and community level. And with your question, Ellie, I think that when we having crisis, as you mentioned, or when we are having this process for healing and relief, I think that's when we are coming together. For example, in Arizona with the extreme heat, we are coming together, all religions, to helping the community to have a relief of the heat. But sometimes in my religion, for example, we understand that the conflict could be sometimes part of the process. It's like the yin and yang that complement each other and at the same time is moving all the time. So sometimes conflict help us to understand how we can work together. So that's why I appreciate interfaith collaboration because it's helping us to find solutions of the most difficult problems of life. Even when there is political polarization, interfaith collaboration gives us the hope that it is possible to collaborate together, even that we are different, even that sometimes we don't agree in the same thing, but we are finding that the common good is good for everybody.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you both so much for that. I've categorized you as young folks because, well, you're young. You're younger than I am. And not that you speak on behalf of all young people throughout the world, but I am curious, in all of your travels, in your extensive work, both locally and globally, what are the conversations that you're hearing from the younger generations about the future of our faith expressions?
Russell, can you take this first?
Thank you. Yeah, so working with younger generations, I'm learning that we are, as young people, very open to learning from older generations. It's important for me as a young person to learning, to have the advice and the guidance of older generations, because older generations have a lot of resources and also a lot of wisdom that we can learn from. For me personally, I really want to collaborate with this idea of intergenerational collaboration, to know that older generations can teach us a lot about everything that they already did for interfaith collaboration, for example. But we as a young people, we can also share our experiences with them. So this is a complementary collaboration where we listen each other and where we let each other to have participation in taking decisions. Sometimes we are invited to having dialogue, and it's important also to always be invited at the table where decisions are made. And this applies not only in interfaith collaboration, but within our religious institutions. For us as a young people to also be able to take decisions, to have positions of leadership. I'm very grateful for the leadership of Emina in Religions for Peace because represent the youth voices and have the capacity to take decisions in the organization. So I hope that we as a young people have these positions of leaderships to be always in the table, taking decisions with older generations too.
Thanks also. And as you said, Ellie, we are obviously not representing all the young people, but I will speak again from the experience that I have here in Bosnia, talking to young people and also abroad and internationally. And I would say that among younger generations, especially younger people who are engaged in interfaith, but also peace building, because to me, interfaith and peace building are somehow interconnected. I don't think they can go without each other. And I hear there is a strong desire, I would say, to reimagine faith expression in ways that are both authentic but also inclusive. Because let's be honest, sometimes our religions tend to be exclusive. They tend to make exclusions of certain people, of certain groups, and etc. So I would say that among young people, there is this thing, how we can make it more inclusive. There is this, I would say, some kind of ongoing conversation. How can we move beyond some rigid dogmas? Because we do have a lot of dogmas in our religions and certain institutional authority. So to go to the faith that actually speaks to our lived experiences, to the social justice, to the spiritual well-being. Do's and don'ts are part of the religion, but we have to go beyond them. We have to go to the way how we live. We have to move religion from the just the religious sacred site. It has to become a part of life, because if faith, to me, my faith is my way of life, is how I organize my daily life. It's not just how I organize my prayers, but how I organize my interactions with other people. Sometimes, obviously, sometimes I don't live my faith because I get angry. So I'm like, okay, calm down. You have to think of these certain things. So, you remember certain things, you remember your faith, you remember that God is all merciful. And that if you want mercy from God, you have to show mercy to other people. You have to somehow, not imitate God, but imitate the attributes that he has in order to live your faith and experience. So I would say this is somehow how it's going around with young people. It's also like the questions that our young people are asking during the events, like how our faith traditions can help us navigate global challenges. Obviously, climate change is one of them. Migration is one of them, because migration is a huge issue, and it's very much connected to religion. Especially if we think about all the prophets that Jesus, Muhammad, peace be upon him, Moses, all of those people were migrating at some point, and all of them were at some point, pushed out from the society. Inequality that we have, violence that we are encountering, and unfortunately, I think even though many people thought that 20th century is the most violent, we are going to live peaceful 21st century. I think that the amount of violence that we are living in the 21st century is surpassing the 20th century already. And we are only like in the first quarter of this century, unfortunately. And there is also a noticeable shift from this, I would say, performative religiosity to more intentional spirituality. As young people, I would say we are less interested in labels. We are more interested in the values, in the ethics, community support that faith can offer us. And I would say, and agree with Vasu, that there is this deep longing for intergenerational dialogue. We don't want to discard the tradition. We want to inherit the tradition wisely. And we want to somehow, make this tradition not so rigid, but something that we can shape according to the needs that young people have. So we do want to ask some hard questions without fear, and we want to see religious leaders to take certain brave stance on contemporary issues. We want to see them, speaking out against inequalities, against the violence, against everything that's happening in the world, and naming the things the way they are, not speaking in the white gloves, and all these we should all love each other. Yes, we should love each other, but we should somehow speak against certain things and be very brave. And I'm sorry, my camera is getting crazy, so maybe because I'm using my hands too much, I'll try to be calm. Thank you.
No, that was awesome, Amina. Thank you. And it's so interesting. I love what you said. You said young folks are moving towards intentional spirituality versus performative religiosity. I think that leads into, we do have a couple questions coming in. I do want to invite our audience to continue to share your questions. We are going to get to these. I think that that's actually a really good lead into one of the questions that was asked. And Johnson Peter, just know I will get to your question towards the end. I feel like your question's a good next going out question. So we'll definitely get to your question. But Seth asks, what are the young people who are moving towards religion in new ways seeking from religion? And they clarified and said they are in the United States. So what are young people who are moving towards religion in new ways seeking from religion? I feel like that's a good tie into that intentional spirituality versus performative religiosity.
Do you want to start, Basil?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mina. I feel that in my experience, something that I have heard from others and something that is also from my own perspective is I'm seeking for the well-being. I'm seeking for my personal and community well-being. So sometimes religious institutions focus on the ritual, on only to fit in specific standards. And sometimes that could cause religious trauma to many people that don't fit to that specific standard. That I have seen in other people around me, that sometimes religious institutions can cause trauma, religious trauma. So I think in my personal perspective that I'm looking for the well-being of myself and everybody around me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful, Vasu. Thank you.
Sorry, my camera is getting crazy. So if it just turns off on its own, it's not me, it's my camera. But I just want to add on this what Vasu said. And as I already said at the beginning, I think that young people are seeking meaning. They want to, have the meaning that religion can offer to them, that faith can offer to them. They are looking for something that speaks both to the inner world, I think, that we have, but also to the world around us. It's not just, about what are my needs, so that I'm going to somehow fulfill them inside either my faith, either my religious community, but it's also what my religious community and I can do for the world around ourselves. As I already told you, I think I would say we, because I'm still a young person, we are seeking the faith that is lived, that is not just recited, one that helps us to navigate the identity, the justice, the purpose, and the belonging. And I would say that we seek for the practices that can help us to ground ourselves, values that can help us to ground ourselves, but also communities that can give us support. I think this is very important that we have the community which is supporting us, which is hearing us, which is open to our ideas, which is open to somehow combine I would say the wisdom that comes from the elders with a freshness or something a little bit different that comes from the younger people. And I think it's what we seek is that we are really seen as partners here, as somebody who has, I would say, equal voice as those of the elders, so that we are not just here to be instructed how to do certain things, but also to reason about these things and to question certain things and to ask, why do we do it this way? Can we do these things differently? So I think this is what young people are actually seeking. And I saw some of the questions also in the Q&A, what religious leaders also can do for the interfaith. Religious leaders need to lead by example. If you want interfaith to work out, you really genuinely need to do it. You cannot just performatively do it. Diplomatic dialogue, I find it very important to see like the dialogue between high level religious leaders or whatever. I find it important. For me, it's important that Grand Imam of Al-Azhar sat together with the Pope Francis and that they actually wrote this, human fraternity declaration, that they said, we come together, we work together, and we are not just doing it for the sake of, coming together and have publicity, but we really want to work together. And then interfaith can flourish. But interfaith cannot stay only on those upper levels. It needs to, happen among the people. It needs to happen in just daily life. We don't have to come together to discuss theology. We don't have to discuss Jesus in Bible and Jesus in Quran unless we want it. Obviously, I do that also sometimes because I'm interested in that. Maybe some people are not interested in that, but we can discuss with each other. You can ask me, okay, Amina, I don't know, you need to go to pray now. Why do you pray at 12 o'clock? So to talk about these things, or you're not eating. Why you are not eating? It's Ramadan. I'm fasting. So, and to understand why I am fasting. So for me to understand, why people in Orthodox Church fast the way they fast. So this is the essence of I would say interfaith, not just the theological things, but also understanding why we do certain things what we do. And for that, I think that's important to understand firstly our own religion to be able to actually interface with the others. If we come with all those misunderstandings about our own religion, our own faith, then it's a little bit hard to interface. So it's this like introspection that we have to do. But for the religious leaders, I would say it's doing it by example, but genuinely doing it by example. Don't do it performatively. Really do it because you want to do it.
Man, y'all, y'all are bringing it today. This is a great first webinar back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hear so much in our invitation to us that you've extended is that we need to move beyond performative religiosity. We need to move beyond just reciting words from our scriptures, from our holy texts, and actually get dirty, go do the work, model what it might be to do that work, and to be curious. That's what I heard. I know it's much deeper than that, but I love that. So thank you. Um, with you both mentioned, religions for peace and then URI. If somebody is doing work in another country or even in the United States, so if somebody's from Pakistan and doing this interreligious work by themselves, is there support out there through these organizations that you represent? And if so, how do they get connected to those?
Okay, as Vasu said, for religions for peace, it's more about religious institutions. So it's more about being more institutional. For URI, I think it's important to understand that there are something called cooperation circles. So, and there is also individual membership. So you can become a member of URI if you are doing interfaith work. But what you can also do is come together with, I don't know, your 3, 4 friends. It's important that you come from different religious traditions or spiritual backgrounds, or it doesn't have to be very specifically defined as we define religious tradition in those like traditional ways. And then you can form a cooperation circle, and then you can apply for the membership. And then with the support of URI, you can get connected with people all around the world, and you might start doing some work together. You might maybe at some point attend some of the events and some of the things that are organized, because URI is huge. But it has chapters in North America, in Latin America, and Caribbean. There's also I think there's European chapter, obviously, where I come from. There's also a chapter in Asia, in Africa, but in different parts of Asia and Africa, because those are like huge places. So one chapter is not enough. And there's also URI multi-region, URI MENA, and you can get connected, either becoming an individual member or forming a cooperation circle. Everything is very available on their website, and I do recommend, if you are interested in more interfaithing, that definitely you should explore this opportunity to become involved with URI. For Religions for Peace, as I told you, it's more institutional thing, so it has certain path that has to go. But for URI, I would definitely recommend you to explore it, because for us, URI, the acronym is United Religions Initiative. And maybe after the webinar, if Reverend Ellie is going to send you something, she can send you the website and the name. And since we became CC in Bosnia, we did tremendous work here, but we also connected with people from all around the world and did projects with somebody from South Africa. Connecting people from South Africa and Bosnia, this is like unimaginable. Why? But we connected them, and that helped people, to break down certain stereotypes, but also certain prejudices, and to actually see beyond our own reality, other reality.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yes, and you see into chat, I love that you all are crowdsourcing each other. There are lots of links into chat. If you go back through, you can see the different ways of being connected. And yes, after this, Amina and Vasu will be sending me some of the links that they have talked about today, and we will send that in our follow-up email along with the recording. I have one final question for you both, and I'm curious at what do you find is the most valuable tool that we must have in times such as this?
Thank you, Mina. For me personally, to breathe, to focus my intention and my completely time to breathe. Sometimes when we are having difficult conversations in interfaith spaces, or even in other spaces, including in politics, for example, currently in the United States, in the global community, politics is a very difficult conversation in the table with even our family members. But for me, it's helping me to take a deep breath and to focus my attention in my breath and to understand that we are interconnected and interrelated and interdependent of each other. As I mentioned, the yin and the yang that complement to each other, that the bad complement with the good and the good complement with the bad, and need to coexist, and even always need to have dialogue. So for me, to breathe.
I think for me, there are two things. One of them is deep listening, one of the tools, and my camera is crazy again. Uh, it's not just hearing the words, but also is truly listening with the empathy. I know that empathy is like word that we hear too much, but it's a skill that can be learned. It's not something that we are born with. It's something that we, get through our lives. With curiosity, again, for me, curiosity is very, very important. And without rushing to respond, I think, it's important that, listen. And if we are listening, it doesn't mean that we have to respond. At some point, it's just about listening, opening the space to understand the complexity, to see human being again behind the label. Because I think we are just, the moment we are born, we are just getting the labels on ourselves. And sometimes we just have to, shake away all of those labels and see first ourselves as humans and then other people as humans. And So the other thing I think that it's important is somehow some kind of hope, but courageous hope, not to be naively optimistic, but some kind of hope, something that is grounded, a hope that refuses to give in to despair, even though the change comes really slow. And I know that I'm coming from Bosnia 30 years, have passed since the war ended, and too many things are not changed. So I think that hope is not something which is passive. It's a discipline. It's a daily choice that we choose to believe in the possibility of healing, possibility to transform things, and possibility that there will be justice. I know these are quite hard words, both heal, all of them, transformation, healing, and justice. Not hard, but they are like really difficult. They are like heavy, not difficult. They are heavy words. But I think without these things, we will go to despair, and we will just, uh, I would say somehow break ourselves. So I would say this courageous hope and the deep listening combined with the deep reading that's what said. These are some of the tools that we have. Maybe they sound a little bit philosophical, but without them, I don't think any kind of practical tools will work out.
Yes, and thank you for that, Amina. Thank you, Vasu, and thank you to Catherine for recapping what was just said. We need to breathe, to listen, to hear, to learn. Response is not always necessary. Amen. So, in my tradition, in my Christian tradition, I want to thank you for joining us for our webinar today. What a gift you are in this world, caring for all of God's people. That's not just our presenters, that's the folks who tuned in. You tuned in because you believe in the hope. You believe in the curious spaces that we can create and in community. So I want to thank you all for joining us today, and join us for our next webinar on Thursday, August 7th, for our regularly scheduled, or back to that 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, where we're going to be joined by a friend and colleague, Reverend Seth Wispelway, who is the National Ministry Settings Minister for Economic Justice. Next Thursday, we're going to be talking about revitalizing Labor Sunday through liturgy and solidarity. The affordability of meeting our basic human needs is beyond comfortable reach for most people, more now than ever. Wages and salaries and worker protections have been suppressed. How can churches help to meet the needs within their own congregations, their own communities, and throughout the country? The United Church of Christ is revitalizing Labor Sunday as an inflection point for specifically naming the unjust causes of our current struggles and the power we have within and without our sanctuaries to manifest real change that helps everyone to thrive. So we hope that you join us next week, but I'm going to turn it over. Again, a great thanks to our participants. Please share this webinar. Please share the upcoming webinars that you can find on ucc.org/events or on all of our social media platforms. But Amina and Vasu, beloveds, what a gift it is to be in this world, following you, following your lead. And I ask that you take us out in a form of a benediction that resonates with your expression of faith.
It's 10 o'clock.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mina. From my Buddhist tradition, I will offer this following loving kindness expression or meditation that say, may all beings be in peace, may all beings be free from suffering, may all beings live in harmony. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasu. I will offer briefly as well. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As we close this space of reflection and connection, may we turn our hearts to the source of peace, as-salam, and may we carry forward what we learned today, not as the knowledge, but as a trust, amana, to build a world where dignity, faith, and freedom are honored. And may the one who is most merciful, Ar-Rahman, bless us with the courage to speak deeply, to listen deeply, to speak gently, and also to act wisely. Amen.
Siblings in Christ, if you are moved by this conversation, if what's been offered here has helped enhance your ministry or has nurtured your soul for the journey, please consider donating to the annual fund of the United Church of Christ by texting UCC to 41444. Your support will help to provide programs like this which are an essential part of our ministries in the United Church of Christ. Thank you for your support. Be blessed on your journey and know that you are not alone. We are holding you in prayer. Amen.